Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different. We're going to still be talking about the Week 1 running backs and the common questions that many of you have that have gone down to my comment section and asked, should I start X over Y? Should I start Lamar Miller? Should I start Jamaal Williams this week? Should I start Peyton Barber, Royce Freeman, and all the other guys you see on the screen? So we're going to be talking about that. I'm going to be ranking these mid-tier running backs so that you guys have a better idea of how I rank them and see them going into this Week 1 of the regular season. I'm also going to be talking about last night's Thursday night football game between the Atlanta Falcons and the Philadelphia Eagles and all the fantasy implications that surround that, how it went, how I believe those players are going to perform in the coming weeks just off of last night's performances. Before we get into that, I have something very exciting to share with you guys. 600 subscribers. I mean, it's absolutely insane. I'm still having troubles kind of grasping with it. You know, it took me a while to get to 100 subscribers, right? But with all of your guys' support, and I mean, I just, honestly, I'm at a loss for words. With the support, with you guys continuing to watch my videos, continuing to comment, and, you know, and those little comments that you have where you're like, great video, that's priceless, to be honest. That's just confirming that I'm doing, you know, something that I love to do, and you guys are enjoying it, and I'm just happy. I don't know what else to tell you guys. As of right now, exactly as I'm recording this video, we have 630 subscribers. You know, I want to say let's go for 1,000. I know it's out there, but we're gonna go for it. That's the goal, right? Anyway, so again, guys, thank you so much for those of you who have subscribed. If you haven't yet, please go down, subscribe. I'm releasing videos daily on fantasy football. And if if it's not that hard to subscribe, you just go down, you click that button, and every day there's going to be something from my channel in your subscriber box. Anyway, I appreciate all of those who've stuck along from the beginning, especially. And those of you who have newly just subscribed, welcome. And this is going to be a fun 2018 regular season, and I can't wait to just keep bringing out content. So let's get right into it with the Thursday night matchup between the Falcons and the Eagles. Okay, so hey, look at this. All right, here we go. It's like the Brady Bunch, but I'm in the middle, and all these bums are around me. Okay, so how do I? Okay, let's start it this way. All right, we obviously have to address a few things going into this game. Right, we knew Thursday night football jitters were going to be out there. It's the defending Super Bowl champions versus the team that they beat last season to advance in the playoffs. Excuse me. So it was a rematch to see who was going to, be the better team. The Eagles were shorthanded. They didn't have Carson Wentz. They didn't have Alshon Jeffrey. Yet it did not matter. The Eagles had won the game. They won 18-12. Really, honestly, all things considered, it was a sloppy game. 25 plus penalties. I mean, there were series where every play was a penalty after penalty. Penalties on both sides of the field that would offset each other. I mean, just sloppy play, both sides of the football. The first half was extremely boring, very slow. And then as the second half began, injuries left and right. I mean, it was an unbelievable game comparatively to last season in 2017, where the Patriots came back and got smacked by the Chiefs in that blowout. That game was fantasy-wise more entertaining. This game, not so much, okay? So a couple of the key highlights, right? I'm wearing green. I just noticed that. It's not intentional, but I will take it, okay? It's actually the perfect green, too. I didn't even realize. Okay, so a couple key stats to go over, right? Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, what have you done to me? Ooh, okay, so Matt Ryan last night was atrocious. We all know that. If you watched the game, he was a mess, right? And while I was watching the game, I was continuing to think to myself, is it Matt Ryan who's this bad? Or is it, Steve Sarkisian, the offensive coordinator? Is it the fact that Kyle Shanahan is no longer the coordinator of the Falcons? Like, did that 28-3 Super Bowl, comeback just completely kill all of Matt Ryan's confidence? What is the stemming issue that continues to make Matt Ryan just a ordinary average quarterback? And last night, against a good defense, he was an ordinary average quarterback that turned into a bum. Okay? Like straight up. Here's some stats that I got off of the ESPN stats, so props to them on these stats. He was 1 for 9 in the red zone last night. 1 for 9 passing completed, right? So out of 9 attempts, he completed 1 pass. To Julio Jones, he was 0 for 3, 1 interception. Okay? That is awful. 9 passing attempts in the red zone. You can only complete 1. I mean, to start the game last night, the Falcons came down the field. They were looking good, right? They get to about the 5-yard line. They start to try to plunge it in with Devontae Freeman. All the Devontae Freeman owners, even me, we were like losing our minds saying, here we go. Here's 10 points in one drive. Here it is. And boom, the Eagles defense stumped them, and the Falcons never got closer for the rest of the game to scoring a touchdown. Pretty upsetting, obviously, but it is what it is. No, I'm pretty sure the Falcons did score a touchdown in the second half with Tevin Coleman, but you know what I mean. It was a rough night from there. So obviously Matt Ryan did not perform well. 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. He did not look great at all. I mean, even when his offensive line gave him enough time, he still couldn't deliver the ball on target because the coverage was too good. I don't know what to tell you. Other than Matt Ryan, right, there were a couple complications when it comes to the fantasy aspect of the Falcons' backfield. Okay, Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman. So a couple of days ago, I said that you should start Devontae Freeman, probably set Tevin Coleman. Well, here is the fact of the matter. They're going to be in a long-term timeshare. Now, what exactly does that mean? That means that these two running backs, it was evident last night, they're sharing the ball on every other series. So Devontae Freeman started the game as a starting running back in the first series, played every down. Okay, the next series, it was all Tevin Coleman. Right? The next series after that, all Devontae Freeman. Then all Tevin Coleman. Right? So they completely 50-50 split the series of attempts and opportunities, which absolutely killed Devontae Freeman owners. Devontae Freeman last night only rushed the ball 6 times for 36 yards. Now, conceivably, right? We all drafted Devontae Freeman somewhere around the 3rd round. Okay? Maybe even 4th if you got lucky. When you draft a guy all the way up there with that kind of draft capital, you're expecting Devontae Freeman to touch the ball minimum 15 times. Okay? He touched the ball 9 times last night, and that was obviously not enough. He had his opportunities on the goal line. Okay? In the first series, he had 3 cracks at it. He could not. Okay? He had a plunge up the middle, got stopped by Fletcher Cox. He had a pass on an out. It was like a short 5-yard out. It went off his fingertips. Why? Because Matt Ryan couldn't put the ball on him. And then they went forward on 4th down with that sweep. Got stuffed, right? There's not a lot of room down there, right? The defense they don't have to go anywhere. They've got a 10-yard distance from safety to running back. They'll come get you. So running that, just the play calling itself from Sarkisian was awful. And it pretty much showed. That's why they couldn't score more than 12 points. Okay, so other than that, right? Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman, it's not looking good for Freeman, right? He had an injury last night. Perhaps that's why Devontae Freeman didn't play in the preseason. I understand that they're trying to keep him healthy, but I didn't think this knee injury that came up in the 4th quarter would be a big deal, but obviously it was. He didn't play in the last drive. Obviously affected his fantasy value and productivity. Tevin Coleman, on the other hand, right? So as I said before, Devontae Freeman rushed the ball 6 times, 36 yards. Had 3 receptions for 14 yards. Tevin Coleman had 9 rushes, okay, for 19 yards. Not great, but it is what it is. 1 rushing touchdown, 1 reception for 26 yards. Had about 11 points in half-point PPR leagues, which is a decent week, right, as a flex if you had started him. But I honestly did not see this backfield becoming a timeshare at all. It's disgusting. I don't want to touch it. It's pissing me off a little bit on the inside. My pride hurts a little bit, but it is what it is, okay? So to close out the Atlanta Falcons, right, we have to talk about Julio. What an animal, okay? In my full PPR league last night, he got me 28 points. 28 points. Julio Jones. Now, Could he have scored a touchdown? Absolutely. Maybe if Steve Sarkisian had an actual play, that maybe he's got to go to the Madden playbooks. Like, what he's doing is not working at all. Maybe they gotta cheese it up a little bit. But overall, 10 receptions, 169 receiving yards. Julio Jones looking like the best receiver in football. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins and Antonio Brown will have a word about that this week, and they're going to go ahead and try to play their best. But Julio Jones is an animal. He had Ronald Darby falling over sometimes. I mean, he had him working. So we all know Julio's a for-sure start. But I'm just a little worried about Matt Ryan and this backfield. So as the week progresses, coming into week 2 next week, we'll see how it goes. Okay. So let's talk about the Eagles, right? I mean, they did win the game, and there was a lot of fantasy implications, right? Carson Wentz out, Alshon Jeffrey out. Now, who stepped up? Nick Foles didn't play a great game, 19 completions on 36 attempts, 100-something yards. I mean, 1 interception, and that interception wasn't really, like, it was a tipped pass that perfectly landed in Deion Jones' hands. Nothing that he could have done about that. Just, a freak accident play. It happens to every quarterback, right? No big deal, okay? But he was able to help this team win a game, right? Which it didn't really look like the Eagles were going to win this game in the first quarter. Honestly, all things considered, the Eagles looked like straight bums in the first quarter, and then they turned it around. The defense started stepping up, and the offensive line took over the game, right? So let's talk about the running backs. I only have J.J. on the screen because he had a breakout night last night, but I want to first talk about Darren Sproles and Corey Clement, right? These two started the game, right? In the first drive, I don't even think we saw J.J. We saw Corey Clement and Darren Sproles the entire first drive, and that made Jai owners kind of worried, right? And it should, right? It should scare you a little bit. A stat that I also got from ESPN, J.J. played 28 of 71 offensive snaps, okay? 28 of 71 offensive snaps. Now, in those 28 offensive snaps, he ran the ball 15 times, okay? When they have him in the game, they're using him. But how often is he going to get in the game? How often will they have to use Corey Clement and Darren Sproles in third down and passing situations, especially if they're losing early, okay? The news is that Carson Wentz and Alshon Jeffrey aren't going to be playing until week 3 or 4. So, honestly, there is going to be a lot of usage of Darren Sproles and Corey Clement, which each of them had 5 rushes last night, right? As I said before, J.J. had 15 total rushes. Clement and Sproles each had 5 themselves. And Darren Sproles had 4 receptions, right? So Sproles is going to be a vital part of this offense, which I've always been worried about, right? I've been worried that this offseason that Corey Clement and Darren Sproles were going to take value away from Ajayi. Last night it didn't because Ajayi was able to pick up 2 rushing touchdowns and 62 rushing yards, right? Because that offensive line just dominated and the Atlanta defense fell apart, got hurt. Keanu Neal out for the season, torn ACL, just stuff like that. But anyway, Jai, 28 out of 71 offensive plays. That scares me a little bit, but we know that he's the goal line back. We know that when they want to run the ball, he comes in the game. And we know that this is maybe, if not the best or the second best offensive line in the National Football League. These Eagles with Jason Peters back, God, they are so good. They're so good offensively. Other than that, let's talk about the receivers for the Eagles, right? We're going to be talking about Zach Ertz, who led the team with receiving yards, He had 5 receptions for 48 yards. In a PPR is 9.8 points, half-point PPR, 7-something. The way I see it, he had a decent night. Wasn't great, but none of the receivers of the Eagles played well. Mike Wallace, goose egg, didn't do anything. And I thought he wasn't going to do well, right? It was kind of an obvious thing, right? Because Mike Wallace, as of late, hasn't been great, especially last season with the Ravens. He's more of a deep threat that you only throw to him when you want a pass interference call to be made. That's pretty much it. That's what he's resulted into. Nelson Aguilar, who I said you should start this week, did okay, right? In a PPR format, fantastic, right? Standard and half, not so much, right? But he had 8 receptions for 33 yards, 1 pass for 15 yards on that Philly special that they copied off the Patriots. I mean, it was perfect, right? Eagles defense had 10 fantasy points if you play with the defense. They looked good. They got after the pass. I mean, the quarterback in the pass rush, Chris Long, Haloti Ngata. I mean, Michael Bennett, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. I mean, as I said in my defensive video before the season started, this is one of the best D-lines ever. They have a rotation that is literally unstoppable, and they're going to bruise teams with bad offensive lines. And the Falcons have a good offensive line. They really do. And imagine what they were able to do to them. Okay, just wait till they play a team that's a little bit suspect on the offensive line. The Giants. Just wait for it. I'm telling you guys, just wait for it. Okay. So let's move on to what I initially wanted to talk about: common questions and the running backs going into week 1. Okay, shall we? So, what do we got here? Okay, we have Lamar Miller on the top left. Above me, we have Jamaal Williams. To the right of him, Peyton Barber. Below him, Rex Burkhead. Below him, James Conner. To the left, underneath me, we have LeSean McCoy. To the left of him, we have Derrick Henry. And to my left, we have Royce Freeman. Okay, so why do I have these running backs here? There have been a lot of questions asked this week of me to kind of give you my start and sits of these guys, right? I think, respectively, every single one of these guys should play. But some of you have better running backs, better flex options. Therefore, you are forced to kind of choose and pick between these, right? So I'm going to try to give you a better idea of why I think specific guys should be played over one another coming into week 1 and so on and so forth. So let's start with the top left. We're going to talk about Lamar Miller real quick, okay? So Lamar Miller is going to be playing against the New England Patriots this week, respectively. There is no backup for Lamar Miller, okay? Deontay Foreman tore his Achilles last season. He's still on the PUP list. He won't be playing until about maybe week 6, I think. So Lamar Miller is going to have this backfield to himself. If there is a running back in the formation, it's going to be Lamar Miller against the Patriots, right? And with Deshaun Watson under center, I think Lamar Miller is going to get a little bit of a boost. Excuse me. Lamar Miller is going to get a little bit of a boost because the Patriots can't just sit around and stack the box, right? Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins, with a little sprinkle of Will Fuller, will be dynamic, will be able to throw the ball deep, and they're going to have to respect that. Therefore, I 100% think, yes, this offensive line for the Texans is not great, but Lamar Miller should have a good week, okay? And as I continue to explain like my little thought process behind it, after this screen, we're going to go to a rankings page, and I'm going to get a little bit more in detail with the nitpicks on why I think one guy is over another. Okay, above me, Jamaal Williams, right? So as we know, Aaron Jones, who ended the season as the starting running back for the Packers, is suspended for the first 2 games of the season. The only running backs on the roster as of right now would be, Jamaal Williams and Ty Montgomery. Now, why has everyone opted to think that Jamaal Williams is going to be the starting running back? Well, last season when Aaron Rodgers went down and they had Brett Hundley under center, Jamaal Williams was productive. He was able, as a rookie last season, to be productive enough and produce fantasy numbers, right? He had 500-something rushing yards, about 300 receiving yards. He was productive, okay? Going into the season, all signs are pointing towards Jamaal Williams being the starter. In preseason, he was. Montgomery came in a couple times here and there on passing downs, but all things considered, going against the Bears defense, who is one of the worst in stopping the run, I think he'll have a good night. Yes, Khalil Mack's there, but David Bakhtiari and who's the right tackle? I think it's Brian Bulaga, if I'm not mistaken. They'll be okay. Okay, they'll be able to handle the Khalil Mack coming after them. Okay, to the right of him, right, Peyton Barber. Peyton Barber, kind of a shock from this preseason, right? I thought Ronald Jones would win the job in Tampa Bay. It wasn't, in the cards. Ronald Jones is now the 3rd string running back. Whoop-de-doo. And Peyton Barber is going to be the starting running back here. I think, yes, he's going to have value this week. Yes, you should play him if, he's your best option. But against the Saints defense, where I'm kind of worried about Ryan Fitzpatrick being able to move the ball down the field. Yes, a couple big plays here and there to Mike Evans, maybe a couple big runs. Those are capable, but are they capable of not, going 3 and out? Because that kind of stuff is not going to help running backs. So as we get into it, Peyton Barber is a little bit lower on my ranks, but let's go below him, Rex Burkhead, who today was cleared physically. And the news around Patriots camp is that Sony Michel is questionable. Rex Burkhead is full, health to go, ready to play on Sunday. And I think Rex Burkhead is probably going to be the starting running back for the Patriots like he was last season, right? Week 1 came out. He looked great, right? Couple injuries here and there kind of hold him back, but everything is clean. He's healthy. And I think because of Sony Michel's questionable status and James White usually being a third down back, I think Rex Burkhead will be able to control the first and second down rushes. Maybe Jeremy Hill will sprinkle himself in there, but we've seen Burkhead play outside. We've seen him play slot. We've seen him play running back. He's versatile. He'll find a way onto the field, and he should find a way into your flex spot. Okay. Underneath him, right, we have James Conner. James Conner, if you manage to pick him up, congratulations. You get a starting running back that has top 12 upside for week 1. Okay. James Conner is going to be getting the ball at least 15 times, right? Because Le'Veon Bell is, there have been games last season, okay? I even remember this specifically, right? Le'Veon Bell against the Ravens rushed the ball 30 times, okay? That's not even counting how many times he caught the ball. He rushed the ball 30 times. If the Steelers really want to, they can run the ball down your throat. I think James Conner coming into week 1 has the opportunity, number 1, which we love in fantasy. We want our players to have opportunity, okay? He'll have the opportunity to be able to at least get some, rushing yards underneath his belt. He'll catch the ball out of the backfield because that's how the offense is schemed around, right? And I think he's going to be extremely valuable, especially if Le'Veon doesn't walk into that building anytime soon. Underneath me, right, we have LeSean McCoy, who also has a lot of question marks surrounding him, but for specific reasons, right? LeSean McCoy, according to the commissioner's exempt list, he's not being charged with anything, so don't worry about that. His injury, I think he had a little bit of a hamstring injury earlier in the preseason. He's healthy, according to sources. And as of right now, I think LeSean McCoy versus the Ravens doesn't look like a great matchup on the surface, right? Having Nathan Peterman as your quarterback, having a shaved down offensive line. You had Richie Incognito and Cordy Glenn on your left side that are now gone. Those are both good to all pro, offensive linemen in the league. I think that LeSean McCoy, yes, everything looks terrible, right? But where else is the ball going to go, right? Is it going to go to Kelvin Benjamin and Zay Jones and Charles Clay? I don't think so, right? There are 4 15-minute quarters, and I think LeSean McCoy is going to have his opportunities, and if Shady McCoy is as good as we think he is, he'll be able to produce on your fantasy lineup this week, okay? Now, Derrick Henry left to LeSean McCoy. Down, okay, let's see if I can figure this out. Down there. Yeah, down there, okay? So I did it perfectly. Wow. Derrick Henry, okay? Why is he on this list? Well, again, he's another one of these guys that has a lot of question marks around him, mainly because throughout his entire career, DeMarco Murray has been the starting running back for the Titans. Last season, DeMarco Murray had a lot of injuries, a lot of complications. Derrick Henry in the playoffs looked like a monster, 120 rushing yards against the Chiefs. Can he do that again? Well, they brought in Dion Lewis. Dion Lewis scares the crap out of me. I think 100% Dion Lewis is taking the third down receiving opportunities, right? But if Dion Lewis starts to kind of creep into that first and second down prep and starts to take carries, it's like Devontae Freeman all over again. They're going to start splitting, and it's going to absolutely diminish the value of one of these guys. I would probably think Derrick Henry, especially if the Titans are down. Let's say, for example, the Dolphins come out and Ryan Tannehill wants to avenge the Jay Cutler season from last year, starts throwing touchdowns. If the Titans are down, they can't play their slow, methodical, we have a great offensive line and we have a good, bruising running back. Let's just run the ball down your throat. No, they're going to have to bring in Dion Lewis. So that kind of scares me a little bit. Now, the last guy we're going to talk about, the rookie to my left, Royce Freeman. Been given the starting job. Another guy that a lot of you are questioning, who should I start? I think Royce Freeman has he has a great opportunity to have a good week, right? This Denver offensive line is decent enough. Their offense is much improved, right? With Case Keenum, rather than like Osweiler or Simeon or Paxton Lynch, they're in better hands, for sure, okay? If Sanders is healthy, Demaryius Thomas is healthy, this offense will be better, okay? And their defense is always good. So the whole thing is, can Royce Freeman break out before Devontae Booker comes in and starts taking carries? Because that's the only worry that I personally have. Otherwise, I think from the preseason that we've seen and a lot of the college film that I've seen on Royce Freeman, he looks like a stud of a running back, a guy that's going to break out this season, okay? So let's get into my rankings for this coming week. Okay, so of the guys that I've mentioned, and I got a couple of them that I didn't, we've got James Conner, okay, to start over all of these guys. If you have James Conner in a PPR standard, doesn't matter, I'm taking James Conner 100%, okay? To follow that, I got LeSean McCoy at number 2. PPR standard doesn't matter for me. I think LeSean McCoy is going to touch the ball more times than a guy like Royce Freeman or Burkhead or Henry will, because where else are they going to take the ball? Okay, unless LeSean McCoy comes down with an injury, I see him having a lot of opportunity, and he'll be able to break something, especially if they get down to the goal line. If he has an opportunity for 6 points, it'll definitely help him out. But yeah, I know this Ravens defense is tough, but I still like LeSean McCoy this week. At number 3, we have Lamar Miller. I think Lamar Miller, I probably see him having somewhere around like 60 rushing yards, a touchdown, a couple receptions for like 20 yards. That's the extent of it. I think that's what's going to happen. I think Lamar Miller is my number 3 of all these guys. Has great opportunity being the only running back there. And that's the thing, right? When you're the only running back in the backfield, I 100% will rank you higher because I have more trust in you. I have more trust that you'll be able to, number 1, get the opportunity. Number 2, perform as long as you're talented. And number 3, eventually, I don't even know what number 3 was, but I lost it, and we're just going to keep moving. Lamar Miller's number 3. There you go. I don't know. I lost the train of thought, and I'm not going to sit on it. Anyway, number 4, Jamaal Williams. As I mentioned before, the Bears defense not great at running against the run. I think, yes, Ty Montgomery's a little scary. You see, that's a guy that's in the wings. But Jamaal Williams has proven that he can run the ball effectively behind this offensive line. And with Aaron Rodgers there, they're not going to be able to stack the box because they have to respect Aaron Rodgers. And once they do that, Jamaal Williams will have open lanes, and he'll be successful this coming week. Number 5, I have Royce Freeman. Yes, he's a rookie. Yes, Devontae Booker's behind him. But comparatively to all these other guys, I like his matchup. I like his potential to break out in week 1, just like Kareem Hunt did last year. Yes, he's not going to drop 45 points and have 3 touchdowns, but I think he's going to have a good week on himself, right? Rex Burkhead, I'm still not 100% sure if he's clear of that injury. If Sony Michel ends up playing, which as of right now we don't know, he's going to have a little bit of tough time getting opportunities because James White is still going to contribute to this offense, and we don't know about Jeremy Hill. We don't know what's going to happen. So I have Rex Burkhead a little bit lower this week at my number 6 out of these guys. Derrick Henry at 7. Yes, I like the matchup against the Dolphins, but I'm telling you, Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman scared the crap out of me last night, and I think it might happen to Derrick Henry. I got him at 7. Peyton Barber at 8, probably because of the Ryan Fitzpatrick issue and the Saints defense kind of scaring me a little bit. Number 9, a guy that I had not mentioned prior, but he's been asked about a lot as of late, but not as much as these other gentlemen above him. Carlos had at 9. He's kind of he's in a different situation. The Browns offense is good, but if they become the Browns and Duke Johnson has to come in and play the receiving back role on third downs, then the issue is going to be, can Carlos Hyde get attempts? If they're down in the game and the game plan becomes we need to pass the ball and score. You know what I mean? Yes, he has the capabilities of it, but would they rather prefer to put in Duke Johnson? And number 10, I have Marshawn Lynch that a lot of you have asked about, and just recently breaking as of earlier today, he has a groin injury. I think it was yesterday that they mentioned it. He has a groin injury. He's limited in practice. Already, I don't like the matchup against the Rams' interior defensive line with Aaron Donald, Ndamukong Suh, Andrew, say it right, and Michael Brockers. So I have him at 10. So hopefully this helps you guys out, get a breakdown of how I think these mid-tier, but even though I think James Conner is an upper-tier running back, how I think these guys kind of list out in future weeks, I'm going to be bringing out rankings so that you guys have a better idea, so you don't have to ask as much, because it'll just make it easy if you see it and you know it, and boom, it's a standard. This is how he's ranked it. This is a PPR. This is how he's ranked it, etc., etc. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching. I appreciate all the support. Again, we made 600 subscribers. It's absolutely insane. We're going to keep going for more. I'm looking for that 4-digit number, the big 100, the 1,000 subscriber mark, which would be insane. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope this helped you guys out. And if you have any questions, go down to the comments below, and I'll be 100% willing and able to help you out for week 1 and for future weeks. So if you haven't, please subscribe. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later.